everybody, and welcome to my reading of Dawn of a New Day. It's a My Little Pony fanfic. It's quite good, I could say. I loved it. I watched someone else do a, reading on it. Found it so awesome that I just had to. Okay. Shall we get started? Yes, we shall. Twilight arrived in the waiting area of the hospital, breathing heavily and now feeling pearls of sweat on her brow. Spike was still clinging to her neck after holding on for dear life. Her friends were already there. Applejack and Rarity stood as soon as they saw her. "What happened?" she asked into the group, while their minds continued coming up with even worse scenarios. "We don't know," Applejack said. "They wouldn't tell us anything," Rarity continued. Twilight looked at the other two ponies in the group. Fluttershy was still sitting on the bench at the other end of the room with Pinkie Pie next to her, comforting the nearly crying Pegasus. It was early in the morning, and they had all been called to the hospital with a message that something had happened to Rainbow Dash, but it did not mention anything specific. Twilight saw Nurse Redheart coming around the corner and approaching the group. "Hello," she said, and offered them a warm smile. "Howdy," Applejack replied. "Can y'all tell us what happened?" The nurse sighed. "Now that you're all here, yes. We found her in the street yesterday, badly wounded and losing a lot of blood." Fluttershy let out a quiet gasp. "We took her in and operated, but there was not much we could do, except stop her from bleeding. You see, she said she was caught in a storm, and the last thing she could remember was a bright white light and a loud explosion. We think a lightning bolt hit her through the wing and burnt it. We had to amputate what was left of it." The expressions on the six friends had grown with shock at Nurse Redheart's words. Fluttershy was now visibly crying, and Pinkie Pie had stopped stroking her mane. Applejack gulped. "Amputate?" she asked. "Can we see her?" was Twilight's question. "Yes, you can," Redheart said. "She woke up about an hour ago, and that's why we called you all here. I can show you to her room, but please keep in mind that she just woke up from surgery and still has to gain some strength." With that, she turned around, and the group followed her to Dash's room in silence. Once at the room, Nurse Redheart opened the door and entered. "Good morning, Miss Dash," she said, in a typical half-cheery tone that never did anything to cheer up anyone who had the privilege of hearing it. "You have some visitors," she continued. She made space for the 5 ponies and the baby dragon to enter and settle themselves around Dash's bed. The Pegasus had sat up as soon as she saw them and wiped some last tears from her cheek. Sniffling, with red eyes, she now was regarding each of them with a sad smile. "Hey, guys," she croaked. Her friends did their best to put on comforting smiles. "Are you okay, Sugar Cube?" Applejack asked, which was regarded as a stupid question by every pony in the group, Applejack included. Dash snorted softly. "No," she said with the same expression. "Oh, you silly Willy!" Pinkie Pie cried and hugged Dash, burying her face into the side of the blue neck. "What were you doing outside in the storm?" "I don't remember. Flying home, I guess." "Is it true?" Rarity asked, and gulped. "You lost your wing?" Pinkie Pie let go of Dash, and the Pegasus sighed and pulled over the blanket, revealing a stump on her side with a wide scar over it, where there had formerly been a strong cyan blue wing. The group gasped. Twilight's heart had dropped at the sight, and Fluttershy's eyes filled with tears again. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "Ain't there nothing we can do?" Applejack asked the nurse, but she just sadly shook her head. "Believe me, we've tried," the nurse answered. "It's just too badly burned. The lightning hit her almost exactly at the base of the wing." "There might be something we can do." All eyes turned to Twilight, who was a bit stumped at the sudden attention she received from everyone. "What do you mean?" Nurse Redheart asked. Have you ever heard of Tramping's method?" The nurse narrowed her eyes and thought. "Yes," she responded slowly. She was about to say something, but was interrupted by Rarity. "What is it?" the fashion designer inquired. "Well, basically, it's a way to regrow limbs," Twilight explained. Rainbow Dash's eyes grew wide. "You mean I can fly again?" "You better not be giving her false hopes, Twilight," Applejack said. "Oh, no," the nurse responded for Twilight. "I've actually seen it work, but only with small body parts like ears and noses." "Why didn't y'all try that?" Applejack asked, and narrowed her eyes at Nurse Redheart. "The amount of magic it would take for a whole wing is enormous. It can only be performed by one unicorn, and none of our doctors are that strong. And the princesses won't do it either." "Well, if anybody's good at magic, it's Twilight," Pinkie Pie exclaimed, somewhat happier. Twilight was grateful for this vote of confidence. "Why won't the princesses help?" Fluttershy asked the nurse. This time, Twilight responded. "Some old law," she said and waved a hoof. "It argues about Slippery Slope, that the princesses can't give such privileges to some ponies while denying it to others, which they would have to do because it requires a lot of magic and concentration to regrow body parts, and doing it for every pony would just be too much for them." "How does it work?" Rainbow Dash asked. Her eyes widened and focused on Twilight. "Well, you see," Twilight started, fumbling her hooves, with her heart now beating faster. "How should I explain it? There are two sides of an injury." The nurse helped her out. "Right." Twilight nodded thankfully. "Two sides. The physical wound and the mental wound, or damage of the soul, as Tramping called it. Well, physical wounds can happen quickly and suddenly. The mind is still very inert and reacts to change only slowly, mainly because of habits and memories, With Tramping's method, you can sort of... She scratched her head. Reshape a lost body part. Restore an imprint in the soul? She looked a bit desperately at the nurse, but she only shrugged and shook her head. I'm sorry, it's really hard to explain if you haven't studied magic or medicine. Twilight added quickly with a look at Nurse Redheart, who just nodded with a slight smile. Do you think you can do it? Dash asked her. It sounds like a lot of stress, Rarity said. Well, it's going to require some studying and a lot of patience on your part, Rainbow. We're going to need at least 2, if not 3, sessions. I don't think I could do it in 1. What if something goes wrong? Fluttershy asked quietly, as if dreading the answer. Twilight gulped and looked at Rainbow Dash again. She knew what could happen. A deformed wing, a large, ugly stump, or simply nothing besides crushed hopes, if she got lucky. But seeing her friend like this nearly broke her heart. She had to help her. She would do anything to see her smile again. And who knows, a voice said in the back of her mind, maybe I can get a chance to... She quickly pushed that thought away from her. However, that was not why she wanted to help her. It won't, she said with a confident smile and looked at Dash again. Well, guys, I'm going to leave it off right there. See you in a part 2. Yeah. This has been Ninja Guy. I was going to say Ninja Guy Girl, but it's Ninja Sly Girl. Calling out. Saying peace. Bye, adios, amigos. Bye.